Hello, I'm professional attorney and very much amateur musician Scott Lesowitz, and after a very busy stretch, I'm finally back with a new video. Hopefully I'll be posting more regularly now. The three big record companies had filed lawsuits against AI music generating software companies, Udio and Suno. The lawsuits had been moving pretty slowly, and then all of a sudden, Universal last week announces that Universal and Udio are entering into a partnership. Udio will be making some kind of monetary payment, and they'll be launching a new service in 2026 together. But the rest of the lawsuits continue. So first, I will discuss what this new service will be, and then I'll discuss this from a legal perspective, what's happening and my thoughts. So with this new service, users will be able to, above board, create remixes or mashups of songs, of popular songs with the new service. According to Udio's CEO, quote, "The vision is that you're going to be able to consume and interact with your favorite songs and artists in the same place. I might want to listen to songs that are made by my favorite band, and then maybe I want to remix one. Or I've been listening to this band and this other band, I'm going to mash them up together, and then I might listen to those new songs as well." So a big part of the news is that musicians on this new service with Udio will have the ability to opt in. They'll have to opt in. And according to Rolling Stone, quote, "Users will only be able to work with songs whose creators have opted in, which will limit the available catalog, perhaps vastly so. But Universal is confident that there is some interest from artists." And according to UMG, its pitch to musicians will be, quote, "You'll have enormous control over the parameters around that interaction. And then you will have significant economic participation, as opposed to the current world in which there's no control and there's very little economic participation." Now, look at this from a legal perspective. The prospects for the AI music providers likely on balance improved by the judge's summary judgment ruling in the copyright infringement lawsuit by authors against Anthropic. And in that case, essentially, somewhat simplified, the judge ruled that it's fair use for Anthropic to use copyrighted books to teach its AI or train its AI how to write fiction. But what the court found was that it was not fair use for Anthropic to obtain pirated copies of books for that purpose. So on the one hand, if the other courts were to follow the logic of the judge in the Anthropic case, which they likely would do, but they would not have to since it's just another trial court, then AI music companies could likely use copyrighted music to teach their AIs about how music works and how to create music, as long as they obtained the music properly and didn't just, download it from Pirates Bay or wherever. That said, there's still the question of how Udio and Suno obtained copies of the music. That seems to now be the focus of how the record companies are going in the litigation. And for music, the question of using legitimate means to obtain the copyrighted material is more complicated than books, since copyright law bans circumventing anti-copy technologies. That's more complicated. It's beyond the scope of this video. The bigger picture, what this deal with UMG and Udio signals is that the future of AI music is likely going to be remixing and doing mashups, being able to, remix popular songs, do mashups of different popular songs, and not just creating, songs from scratch with AI. All three big record companies, announced recently that they're creating I want to say partnership, creating a deal with Spotify where they're going to look into creating AI music services that likely will include the ability to do remixes and mashups. And in the case of mashups and remixes, those likely, very likely, are not fair use. That's creating a derivative work. And even though it is a transformation of the original, as the Supreme Court recently ruled, or a few years ago ruled in the Andy Warhol case, that just because something is transformative does not automatically mean it's fair use. And so creating a remix of something or a mashup is just, I cannot see that being a fair use. And so, to the degree the AI companies want to offer that service, outright and, knowingly allow this for copyrighted songs, they're going to have to, in my opinion, enter into some kind of licensing deal with the copyright owners so they can have a big enough catalog to offer. Thank you very much for watching, and hope to be back in the saddle making videos. Hopefully you liked this video and you've subscribed, and take care.